I'm Benjamin Pennington.
And I'm Trisha Pennington.
I left home and then met Trisha, and then we were talking about what our family structure was like, as we started a family. It just came out. I was like, hey, I'd like to have 3 kids and adopt one. And she was like, me too. It was God's plan. Like, God's the one that put it there and called us to it. And that's really where it started.
So we were looking for a place with a great need, and I think that there's needs everywhere. Specifically, where we're looking for a place that has orphanages versus many countries have implemented foster care.
Our biggest thing was, since we were going to adopt internationally, was an orphanage, like Trisha said. And foster care is bad for a child, right? Not having a consistent family life is bad for a child, but that in itself is not nearly as bad as what an orphanage is for a child who doesn't have a family structure. And oftentimes they're just left in their crib all day until it's time to eat.
Then we said, well, where is the need? And so I think there's a need everywhere, and God will speak to you with which need you need to pursue. But for us, it was more of a desperate need, and it was okay if it was a little bit more. He just made a way for both times.
When we went online to look and pursue that option, there were just pages of people waiting, and we said, well, excellent. You know what I mean? Excellent that there are that many parents waiting to adopt. So we don't want to add to that, right? We want to add to a list where there's a short list and there's not many people waiting to adopt a child. And also, a lot of the babies here in the U.S., they may be born with some kind of condition, but all the ones that you're going to adopt overseas are special needs. And that's something else. We have amazing medical care compared to the rest of the world. And we're like, we should be putting that to use. Why should we have such good medical coverage and all these kids who have all these special needs be in a place to where it can devastate them for the rest of their life when somebody could adopt that child, get them what they need, and love on them and change that life, and by doing so, changing our own lives at the same time.
The first thing that surprised us was how difficult it is to get adoption financing. So difficult. Our first adoption, we just thought they would come from grants and loans. And we applied to 4 grants, which are very time consuming. And got 0. And this time around, we applied to 6 grants. We got 1 for $500. Then we looked at loans, and the interest rate for an adoption loan was not different from a personal loan. So we ended up having to put it on a credit card. And it's kind of the dirty little secret about adoption is so many other families are walking through the same path as we are, struggling to finance their adoption.
We were kind of struggling on our second adoption. We kind of used up our savings on the first adoption, so the second adoption we were kind of struggling. We started a new church, and we had an amazing outpouring. People that don't even know us absolutely did not know us. Only a couple people in the church knew who we were, but just poured out and assisted us, and that was amazing.
Fundraiser.
The t-shirt. Yeah, they did a t-shirt fundraiser. They pushed us to do that.
We sold all of our shirts.
Yeah, and then also, who gave the money? So the money, or the people that gave the most, were the ones who could least afford to even give. We were changed in a way that we didn't expect. We expected for our hearts to change for a child. You expect all the adoptions piece of that. What you don't expect is your outlook on life or your perspective. While we're there adopting in India, one of the things that stood out to me was seeing a family, and there were multiple families. There were people everywhere, on the street. But one family in particular, where they had their baby sleeping on the sidewalk, the cars driving by right beside of it, and you're talking like 4 lanes of traffic, dust just all over everything, and the family's digging through the trash for food out on the street. And then we went to our child's orphanage, and while we're there, you see what real need looks like, and you see what real poverty looks like. And the kids there are in such need of medical care. So you see that need, and you see the poverty all around you. So to come back and then worry about, should I buy this $40,000 car or that $50,000 car? Should I have this cell phone or that cell phone? It just kind of all goes out the window, and your perspective changes. And then you realize, I don't need a lot of things in my life. And there are a lot of things I should be spending my time on and I should be committed to. And they don't revolve around dollars or materialism, they revolve around people. We would absolutely recommend somebody adopt. And we both feel that everyone is called to it. So scripture, there are some things like spiritual gifts where you may have a certain spiritual gift or you may not, but we're all called to take care of orphans and widows, right? So whether that is adopting a child, fostering a child, being respite care, or financially supporting an adoption or somebody who's fostering, we're all called to do that. So yes, absolutely. I would. My first thought would be pray about which one is you. Which one of those things are you called to do, and look for a place that you can do it. And then secondly, I would say talk to somebody who's adopted. So there's really two ways you could do it. You can either Google yourself, which I have done, or you can talk to somebody, which she has done. And I would recommend talking to somebody who's adopted, because they're going to get you plugged in. They're going to explain a lot of things that you're going to spend a lot of time yourself trying to figure out. When somebody is there, there's a resource there.